Everyone, I'm going to do some practice problems for factoring greatest common factor, looking for greatest common factor. This is to help you with the Unit 4 summative assessment. So we've got our binomial here, 3x plus 6, and we're going to look for the greatest common factor. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor the 3 and the 6. Okay, we've done this in the past. 3, can't factor that. 6 is going to become 2 times 3. I can't factor the 2 or the 3. So the 3 couldn't be factored. It was 3 times x, so we leave that as 3 times x, and then we had a plus sign. And then the 6, we split that up into 2 times 3, 2 times 3. So now we're looking for the common part. What do they have in common? So I look at my first term, 3x, my second term, 2 times 3, and look for what they have in common. So there's a 3 here, and there's a 3 here. They both have 1, 3, so 1, 3 is going to go outside the parentheses. Then you have x plus 2. That's not circled. The circle part we've already dealt with. That's going to go outside the parentheses. And then whatever's not circled, x plus 2 goes inside the parentheses. X plus 2. Now, what they had in common, this 3, that is what's called the greatest common factor. The other thing to notice is that if you were to multiply this back together, if you did 3 times x and 3 times 2, you would get 3x plus 6. Factoring is just the reverse of multiplication. So if you want to know if you're right, just multiply it back together and see if it equals what you started with. All right, so here's another example. So we have 12x plus 15x cubed. I'm going to do my factor tree for 12 and 15. 12, you can do 6 times 2 or 4 and 3. Take your pick. I'm going to do 4 times 3. I can't factor the 3. I'm done there. 4 is 2 times 2. And I'm done with my 2's. I can't split those up. 15, 5 times 3. I can't split up with the 5 and the 3. I'm finished there. So now the 12, remember, was 2, 2, 3. So my 12 I'm going to write as 2 times 2 times 3. But it also had an x there. And then we have plus sign. All right, 15. We split that up into 5 times 3. But now we have x cubed. That means there's 3 of them. So x times x times x. Now we look for what they have in common. Let's see. 2, 2, 3, 5, 3. Well, they both have a 3. They both had 1, 3. So we're going to put 1, 3. This has an x. This has an x. So one of my x's here. One of my x's here. They both had 1x, so I put 1x out here. Now I'm looking for what's not circled because that's what's going to go inside the parentheses. 2, 2, and then plus, well, 2 times 2 is 4, and then plus, and then 5xx. Well, xx is x squared, so 5x squared. Again, this is your greatest common factor. If you distribute, 3x times 4 is 12x. 3x times 5x cubed is 15x cubed. Next one, another binomial. And we're going to do our factor tree on this one. We have 14. Only one way to split up a 14. Can't split up the 2 or the 7. The next term is 22. Only one way to split that up. 2 and 11. I can't split up the 2 or the 11. So here we go. 14. Remember, that was 2 times 7. So 14 is 2 times 7x squared, so that's 2 of them. Y cubed, that's 3 of them. And then we have a minus sign. And then 22, remember 22 was 2 times 11, 22. I'm not going to fit that in this space. I'm going to put it down here. So 2 times 11, and then x, and then 4 y's. So x, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then again, we look, what do they have in common? 2, 7, 2, 11. So they both have a 2. Let's see, get some x's. There's 1 here and 1 here. This one has another one, but this one doesn't. We got some y's in common. 1y, 1y. There's another pair. 1y, 1y, and then 1y and 1y. This one has a y, this one doesn't, so I don't circle another pair. So they both have 1. There's a 2 and a 2. They both have 1, 2. 1x and 1x. Now there's 1, 2, 3 y's and 1, 2, 3 y's. They both have 3 y's, so y cubed. And then whatever's left, whatever hasn't been circled, goes inside the parentheses. So here we have 7x and then minus, and then 11y. There we go. We factored out the greatest common factor. All right, trinomial. Here we go. We've got an 8, a 12, and a 20. So I'm going to start with the 8. 8, 2 times 4. I can't factor a 2. A 4 becomes 2 and 2. And I'm done there. And we've got 12. 12. We'll do this one 6 times 2 this time. 6 times 2. Can't split up the 2. The 6, 3, and 2. And then we've got a 20 over here. And we're going to come down here and we're going to factor the 20. So 20. 2 and 10 are 4 and 5. I'm going to go 4 times 5. I can't split up the 5. And the 4 becomes 2 and 2. So 8n cubed. 8 was 2, 2, 2. So 8, 2, 2, 2, n cubed, that's 3 of them. N, n, n. And then we have a minus sign. And then 12. Remember, 12 was 2, 2, 3. And the 12 only has one n with it. And after it's a plus sign. And then 20 n to the fourth. Remember, 20 was over here. 2, 2, 5. So 2, 2, 5. This one had an n to the fourth, so I need 4 of them. N, 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 n. So now we look for what they have in common. What do they have in common? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, another one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here's a 2, a 3, and a 5. That doesn't help. So they each have an n. Looks like 1n, 1n, 1n. Now, this one has a couple of n's the first term, and the third term has a few, but the second term doesn't have any more. So we can't circle what only 2 of them have. They all have to have it. So we have to stop there. So here we go. 2 2's, 2 2's, 2 2's. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 1n, 1n, 1n. So outside goes 1n. Now we go and look for what is left. That's going to go inside the parentheses. So we have, for the first term, a 2nn minus 2nn. That's 2n squared. And remember, it was minus. And then 3 plus 3 plus, and then 5 n n n. Well, n is n cubed, so 5 n cubed is going to be our last term. And we have factored the trinomial. All right. And one more here. So here we go. We're going to split up the 10. Only one way that can be done. 2 and 5. 20. Notice I don't worry about the sign in front of the 20 when I do my factoring of the number. 20, we'll do 2 times 10 this time. We're done with the 2, 10, 2, 5, and I'm done with the 2 and the 5. 15, and again, only one way to accomplish that. 3 times 5. So here we go. 10, remember that was 2 times 5. 10, so we got 2 times 5. We've got an x, and then looks like 3 y's. And then we got a minus sign after that. And then 20, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, 5. And after the 20 was x squared, y squared, so 2 x's, 2 y's. And after that, we got a plus sign. And then 15, remember 15 was 3 and 5. So 3 times 5, and then 1x and 3 y's. So 1x, 3 y's. Now we look for the greatest common factor. So we look for what they have in common. All right, so 2, 5, 2, 2, 5, 3, 5. It looks like the only thing that all three of them have is a 5. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. So guess what goes outside the parentheses? 1, 5. All right, so 1x, 1x, 1x. So outside goes 1x. We got some y's here. 1y, 1y, 1y. Again, 1y, 1y, 1y. I have a y here and a y here, but there's no more here, so we're done. So we had 2 y's, 2 y's, 2 y's. So outside, y squared. Now we look to see what's left. That goes in parentheses. We've got 2y minus 2 times 2 times x. Well, 2 times 2 is 4x. Got a plus sign after that. And then 3y. And just one final reminder, remember, if you were to distribute 5xy squared, it would equal what you started with. Hope that was helpful.